Hi everybody, it's July 26, 2025. Uh, Walking through my life or experiencing my life as I have, I've noticed that different there are different paths to one life. And it's not only different paths of the ones that you choose from, but there's different paths because there's different eras and different surroundings in your spiritual life. So you take different paths at different parts of your life and for different reasons. And some of us are conscious or super conscious of each moment as we go along this path. What happens? They remember exactly what happens. They remember what was said. They remember what was learned and what was felt. And that's a good quality to have, to be aware of what you've been through, so you can learn from it, or so you could use it in the future as a preventative measure, or acquiring more of good like you want to. But I've noticed that on different parts of my path that there are gaps in the path where I spiritually go unconscious and I end up on the other side of a gap in the path, and I wonder how I got there. And sometimes the other side of the path, the gap is good, and sometimes it's not so good, and sometimes it's relatively mundane or neutral. But I've learned that those gaps in the past where you are spiritually unconscious of what happened are sometimes grace. There's sometimes grace for the reason that maybe your spirit was not able to bear any more stress during that segment, and you just spiritually teleported to the other side of that situation, and you came out on the other end, and you continued going and learning and growing, or witnessing. And yes, there's grace in those gaps, because the stress of your spirit senses that, and your spirit isn't always trying to grind into you and sharpen you. Sometimes your spirit could be the most comforting and most motherly existential being that there is. Your spirit can take care of you better than anyone can at some points in your life. And sometimes those gaps are meant to keep a secret from you, not in a devious kind of way, but if you were to consciously go cross that gap and record mentally and emotionally, or just record your life in that segment, and you got an answer and you weren't ready for it, you might potentially hinder yourself going forward because you weren't ready for such a deep revelation, or such a pertinent revelation that applies to your life, or applies to the future of your story. So sometimes things are kept from you on purpose, so that your life can unfold in a more pleasant manner, or a more what you call it, a more appropriate manner for you personally. So these gaps in our path that happen, they happen all the time. We might not even notice that we go through something without experiencing something that was there that we were just blind to on purpose. So when you feel like you're missing out because you look back in your life and you didn't enjoy a certain part of your life because you were so concerned with your problems, and you were so concerned with what was going to happen in the future, you're trying to get somewhere, you look back and you realize that you missed an experience, you missed partaking in enjoyment and peace. Those are the moments where you realize that you have to let go of the rush. Sometimes you have to let go of the avarice for the content of your life, and focus more on, the spirit of each moment in the sense that you are noticing what you are supposed to notice. You are not missing out on anything per se. You never miss out on anything, because what you don't notice is not for you at that moment, or what you don't notice or you don't experience or you don't have gratitude for at that moment is only there to teach you. It's not to punish you for missing out. It's not to teach you to always pay attention at all times, because that's not possible and that's not healthy either. When you miss out on something, on being grateful for something, enjoying something, or learning from something or somebody in your life, that's just the natural reflections of a lifetime of a person's experience. So you aren't necessarily missing out on anything, because what you were focusing on at that moment was spiritually divined for you, and just for you, and just for maybe opening your eyes at the right moment in the future, or maybe realizing that you come from a life of grace, not a life of suffering. So I hope this helps. Thanks.